For this video, I want to do something that started off as an experiment. I bought an air fryer. I did some marinated chicken. It came out looking like this. And I thought, that looks grilled. Why not do that with pork? And I did some pork ribs, some spare ribs that looked like this. Because there was a sale. The store down the street was selling Farmer John pork spare ribs, regularly $2.29 per pound, for $1.69 a pound. If you buy a pretty big size package, it looks like this. But that's okay. This is 10 pounds, by the way, and it's 2 racks. I can section this, and then using my vacuum sealer, I can seal the smaller pieces and put them in the freezer. And I even have been experimenting with that. I put some of the marinade in the bag with the ribs. This is a small section of ribs, so that when this eventually want to thaw this, the marinade will be in there already and it'll be flavoring the meat. So that's what I want to do today. I want to actually do on video these air fried grilled pork spare ribs. So there's a full rack of ribs. And what I want to try to do, first of all, is there's a membrane in here that supposedly, I don't do ribs often, so I don't know that I can do this very well. Supposedly you get under it with a knife, grab it with a piece of towel, and just start pulling, and pull that membrane off, like so. I should just tear right off. That's it. That's the membrane. It's not easy to chew up, so I'm going to get rid of this. Now I want to section this. What is this here? This is a piece of the bone here. This must be the breastbone. It doesn't look like a backbone. I do want to trim this. Get rid of some of this excess fat. And then I'm going to cut this around this breastbone. I'm going to leave that in there. It's a piece of bone right here that's, I haven't seen that before. So 1, 2, 3, I'm going to cut 4 ribs. This is the easy part. It's where to cut down here, and sometimes it's just easy to grab a couple of paper towels and just break, if it'll break. There it goes. You can hear it breaking. And then cut right down through where it broke. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's an extra flap a little bit down here. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to cut a piece of 4, and that I can cut through because down the end there it's softer. There they are, my 3 pieces of rib. Each of these would feed 2 people. Cut it in half. They can each have 2 ribs. Next, I'm going to assemble my marinade, and I put my Ziploc bag inside of a metal bowl to kind of hold it open, and I'm going to use that Ziploc bag to marinate anyway. So what I have here is 1/2 cup, about 120 milliliters of oil. I'm using cooking olive oil, what I call cooking olive oil. It's pure olive oil. Save the extra virgin olive oil for flavoring. 1/2 cup, 120 milliliters of vinegar. I'm using white wine vinegar there. And then I have 1/4 cup, 60 milliliters of soy sauce. And 60 milliliters, 1/4 cup of Worcestershire sauce. And then I need to put some lemon juice in there. So I have a lemon from my neighbor's tree. I'm going to cut that and juice that in there. I'm going to put a sieve on there to catch the seeds. And seed already escaped and got into the marinade. So the juice of 1 lemon. And then what I have here is 1/2 cup of honey, about 120 milliliters. This is just regular clover honey. All right. And then 2 tablespoons of dried herbs. Any herbs you like. You can use oregano. I'm using herbs de Provence. It's a blend of herbs, supposedly typical of what they use in Provence, France. 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. I'm adding that to give it a bit of a smoked flavor. All right, and then 2 tablespoons of mustard. If you're someone who doesn't like mustard, or you're cooking for someone who doesn't like mustard, you can consider that optional. 1 teaspoon of ground black pepper. And then finally, I have some garlic cloves that I'm going to crush in there with my garlic press. 5 or 6, depending upon the size. And then finally, some salt. Good pinch of salt in there. And then just start mixing this up. It's going to take a little bit of a while to break up that mustard, but get it blended as best you can. This is done. This is ready to use. I'm going to lift that out. Nothing in the bottom of the bowl, which means my bag isn't leaking. That's good news. And then I have here to the side my piece of pork spare rib. Set that in there. And getting out some of the air, but not so much that I cause it to flow out. I'm going to seal the bag. All right, there it is. And I'm going to let that marinade in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. After 15 minutes, I'll turn it over to make sure it's flavored evenly. According to America's Test Kitchen, anything beyond 30 minutes is a waste of time because the marinade isn't going to penetrate deeply into the meat. It's only going to flavor the surface. I prepared the hopper for my air fryer by putting some parchment paper in the bottom. Yes, it does affect the airflow a little bit, but it also makes cleanup easier. And if you have issues with your parchment paper staying in place, little magnets like I have over here in the corner work wonders. I get these little magnets at the hardware store. They're called super magnets. I've got some larger ones and some smaller ones. Okay. And I'm going to bring over my section of ribs and place that in there. All right, and then what I'm going to do with my marinade is when I section those large racks of ribs, I'll use my marinade inside of the vacuum pouches, as I showed you that one. That way I get to reuse my marinade. You don't want to use it after it's been like for hours with raw meat in it. My air fryer is plugged in and ready to use. I'm going to press the on, and then I'm going to change the temperature down to 220, and I'm going to change the cooking time to 30 minutes. Start. It's going. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook it at 220, 30 minutes on one side, 30 minutes on the other, and then after the first hour, I'll raise that temperature to 250 degrees, and the same thing, 30 minutes on one side, 30 minutes on the other. This has just finished up. There it is. All right, I'm going to transfer this to a tray, cover it with foil, and then I'm going to put some potato wedges in there, and that's what I'm going to have with my ribs. So there is a nice big piece of ribs, and then my potato wedges are ready. I'm going to put several of these on that plate. I think I can get one more on there. This one here, it's got some nice coloring on it. I want to cut off one of these ribs. Let's see what it looks like inside. Aha. Look at that. Beautiful inside. Gonna cut off a piece of meat so I can see what that tastes like. Nice plate of ribs here and some potato wedges. Really tender. Ooh, that's good. Slight hint of smoked flavor. If you want more smoked flavor, you could add more smoked paprika, but this is very good. I like this. So excuse me, I'm going to go enjoy my dinner of air-fried spare ribs while I'm watching some football.